Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Carburetor engines in many countries have long been prohibited to operate. This does not yet apply to Russia. A lot of cars moving around Russian cities use carburetors. Such motors have a number of distinctive characteristics, including the device of the fuel system and fuel supply to the combustion chamber. In the case of carburetors, such an element as a joker is necessarily provided. The jets are called a component part of the carburetor, which has a calibrated hull. It allows dosed feeding of gaseous mixture or other type of fuel into the chamber. Carburetor plugs and injectors are also sometimes referred to as jets because they also have calibrated holes. Such a jets can perform various functions in carbureted internal combustion engines. This allows you to divide the jets into several subcategories. What is responsible for the jaculator? It is necessary to begin with the answer to the question of what the jets are needed for in carburetor engines. Here we are talking about a component of the carburetor system with a special calibration hole. This allows you to dose the supply of fuel or air. Therefore, depending on the purpose, the jets can be divided into fuel and air jets. The two types of jets have opposite actions and differently affect the composition of the fuel-air mixture created. If you increase the cross-section on the main jets, which is the fuel element, the mixture becomes richer. If you increase the cross-section on the auxiliary, air, component, it makes the mixture leaner. All this allows us to say that the parts in question affect the fuel consumption of the car engine. Varieties of gaskets and their ratio. Motorists are quite interesting and sometimes need to know where and what kind of jets from the factory stands on the carburetor of their vehicle. Having studied the principle of operation, it is also worth looking at the varieties of jets. The parts differ from each other depending on the functions they perform. It is also affected by the location in the carburetor system. As a result, it is possible to distinguish such varieties: fuel, air, compensatory, with idling. The element is evaluated by its operational properties. It is required to determine the volume of liquid that passes through the orifice for a certain period of time. On such elements, a marking is provided. This is a 3-digit number. It is applied mainly on the end part. With the help of the labeled number, you can find out about the productivity of the jets. It is calculated in cubic centimeters at a pressure of 1,000 millimeters of mercury column. This is the volume of fuel passing through the orifice. The orifices in the jets are strictly calibrated. If you use unsuitable tools for cleaning, the part can be permanently spoiled. And then only replacement will help to solve the problem. Non-ferrous metals are used for the manufacture of jets. This is due to the susceptibility of parts to deformation. Therefore, be extremely careful when cleaning. For each chamber it is foreseen to make a corresponding jets, i.e., fuel or air jets. The choice is made on the basis of the cross-section of the car carburetor diffuser. Usually for different cars and models, special sets of jets are produced, which differ in the diameter of the hole provided. This largely answers the question of what gauge should stand in the carburetor, so that the engine provides optimal performance. Read also why the washer nozzles freeze and how to deal with it. Here it is necessary to take into account such a feature. To increase the dynamics and improve the acceleration of the machine, the main, fuel, jets of a large size are often installed. This in parallel affects the increase in fuel consumption. Increasing the diameter of the part by several orders of magnitude, you cannot achieve an improvement in dynamics, but in parallel, significantly increase fuel consumption. To determine the optimal ratio of 2 jets for your carburetor, it is recommended to look in the manual and take into account the manufacturer's recommendations. The ratio can be from 80 to 100 to 125 to 165. Depending on this, the mixture can be depleted, over-enriched, or optimal. Characteristic faults. There are several main reasons why the behavior of a car with a carbureted engine changes for the worse. It is associated with such phenomena. The element is clogged. As a result, the throughput capacity has changed. Cleaning is required, and in some cases replacement. A component with a smaller size has been installed. This entails an increase in fuel efficiency, but also a simultaneous drop in power. The car is difficult to accelerate, hard to overtake. A larger component is used than recommended by the manufacturer. The engine output increases, dynamics improves, but the engine appetite increases seriously. To solve the problems, you can use one of the methods, namely, replacement, adjustment, cleaning. Let's start with the adjustment procedure. Self-adjustment in the presence of a quality and clean jet setter. It is not always necessary to change it. Sometimes the problem is solved by adjusting the quality of the mixture. This is done according to the following algorithm. The engine is warmed up to its normal operating temperature. Using the adjusting screw, the revolutions are set to no more than 900 units per minute. Guided by the tachometer, the mixture quality is reduced to the minimum by tightening the corresponding screw. The revolutions are reduced to low values. The screw is gradually unscrewed. The average speed is set for smooth operation of the engine. This completes the adjustment. If something did not work the first time, repeat the procedure according to the same instructions. Replacement. A new jaculator for replacement is selected based on the marking of the part. The part number in the kit must correspond to the diameter according to the manufacturer's table. When choosing a set, you should be guided by what dynamics and fuel consumption will suit you. The easiest way to orient yourself is to use the nominal factory values. Here it will be enough for you to open the operating manual. Replacement. The procedure is quite painstaking, but not very complicated. It is important to adhere to the following sequence. First, dismantle the carburetor from the motor, since it is much more convenient. To work this way, the gasket between the engine case and the carburetor itself is removed. Depending on the condition, the gasket may need to be replaced. The cover fixing screw is unscrewed. The cover is removed with a flathead screwdriver. Both fuel and air jets are dismantled. The emulsion tube is disconnected from the air element. Before reinstallation, all parts are washed with a special liquid. New components are installed according to the markings. Gaskets are changed. The fixing nut is tightened. After replacement, initial adjustment and tuning is required with the mixture saturation screw and idle speed adjustment screw. Now connect all hoses and try to start the engine. Additionally, it is recommended to replace the air filter. Read also the device of multi-lever suspension, advantages and disadvantages cleaning procedure separately. It is worth understanding. How to clean with your own hands the jets on the carburetor. This is not the most complicated procedure, therefore it can be performed independently. There is a certain sequence of operations, which is important to strictly observe. This will allow you to clean the contaminated jets of your carburetor without problems. First, lift the hood of your car, securely fix it. Prepare protective gloves for work. The first to be removed is the air filter. Without this, there is no way to remove the jets from the carburetor. With a screwdriver, loosen the clamps that fix the fuel supply hoses to the carburetor motor. Next, the plug of the third carburetor filter is unscrewed. The cleaning element itself should be removed, cleaned beforehand, and blown with compressed air. An ordinary pump or compressor will do. Now the carburetor cover is removed. Cleaning is performed by blowing, or it is possible to completely remove the nozzles and wash them with carburetor cleaner according to the manufacturer's instructions. Blowing and flushing applies to air, fuel, and idle speed jets. It is obligatory to additionally blow out valves and channels. All components are assembled in reverse order. At this point, the cleaning of the jets is complete. The carburetor should normalize. If in the process of cleaning the solenoid valve was removed, its reverse installation should be carried out only on a running engine. First, the valve is installed manually and then tightened with a wrench. Tighten by a maximum of a quarter turn. Cleaning without disassembly using a carburetor cleaner is carried out several times a year if the car has been operated for quite a long time. This is called surface cleaning. But if the contamination is serious, then it will be necessary to dismantle the carburetor, remove all the elements, clean in a prepared container with a special liquid. Preliminary motorists advised to swap 2 armored wires, after which the engine is started. At this point, the engine will start to shoot and sneeze. This is a preparatory measure that allows you to knock contaminants from the internal channels into the chamber. It is not difficult to figure out on your own how to clean the dirty jets of your carburetor. but it is extremely important to follow the sequence and be as careful as possible in your actions. In conclusion, understanding what a fuel injector is and its crucial role in your vehicle's performance is essential for any car owner. By knowing how to clean and replace a fuel injector yourself, you can save money and ensure your engine runs smoothly. Remember to follow the steps carefully and prioritize safety throughout the process. With a little patience and the right tools, you can tackle this task confidently and keep your vehicle in top shape. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this guide helpful.